I'm Talal Bayaa. I'm the co-founder and CEO at Bayzat, a UAE-based technology company that provides insurance and HR solutions. The executive team at Bayzat includes myself as the CEO, Talal Bayaa, my co-founder, as the Chief Commercial Officer, so he heads all of the sales function. Brian Habibi, also a co-founder who heads marketing and customer success. Ayman, who is our Chief People Officer and manages all the performance metrics for team members as well as hiring. Greg, who's our Chief Operating Officer and, as the title suggests, handles all the operations. And then Safa, who's our CTO. So when hiring for the executive team, we never rush to a decision. We'd meet these individuals probably 10, 15 times and make sure that there was a fit both ways. We never felt like we were selling to them because they were actually very passionate about the business from the moment they met us. And I think that's a very important point. We didn't feel like we had to attract them. They were actually attracted to the company. And they were really excited about the problems we were solving. And actually, they were excited about the industry as well. So what you should never look for when you're hiring for an executive team is experience in large enterprise companies, because that never materializes in a young company. The pace is very dynamic and it's hard to adjust. You also need to make sure that these executives have no insecurities and they can take very tough, honest feedback, as well as give you tough and honest feedback. One thing that was very helpful for us when hiring executives was actually making them take a day off and come into our office for 2 days and work with various team members, from very junior team members to other executives, and really look at how they perform in the workplace and what that relationship looks like once we're actually trying to tackle problems together. You also need to be careful of individuals who have the shiny objects syndrome, which is they just want to be involved with the latest trends and they divert their attention to whatever is the most exciting at the time. The road is very long and hard when you're trying to scale a startup, so focus is extremely important and commitment to the cause is also very important. So mistakes I've made in managing the relationships with the executive team is not taking the time to build trust. I've always been a very trusting individual, and I never actually valued that it takes a lot of effort to build trust with others. And only when you have trust will you eliminate any insecurities, and only then will you actually have an honest relationship with your executives. I've had situations where I wasn't able to effectively manage my colleagues, and I thought it was because of them, but the reality is I just hadn't taken the time to get them to trust me. And on a wider scale, when I look at the executive and mid-management team, it's a very dynamic environment and priorities change all the time. And we used to look at the retention rate among our mid-management team as something we were very proud of. But over time, what we learned was that, when you look at retention rates, say we've been around for 5 years, most of my mid-management team should actually have just been there for 1 to 2 years or 3 to 5 years, because probability-wise, it's unlikely that enough of them can actually scale to the needs of the business as we mature into different life cycles. So being a good executive is all about getting out of your comfort zone. And for me, that really meant trying to build meaningful relationships with my executive teams and doing things outside of the workplace, taking the time to really appreciate them, which I was never good at. And in addition to that, being very vulnerable, which is probably one of my biggest weaknesses. When disagreements arise in the executive team, we've built a culture of disagree and commit, where we all own the outcome together. And we've decided that the executive who's going to actually face the consequences of failure or be most affected by the decision will be the one who decides in the end. An example here is when we were building the sales competency framework for hiring new team members. We could have actually let that decision sit with our Chief People Officer or our Chief Commercial Officer. And in the end, we let the decision sit with the Chief Commercial Officer because he was the one who would be impacted most by the hiring of new sales team members. In summary, when building out your executive team, you need to make sure that you take your time in hiring the right people. You build a culture of disagree and commit, and that you understand that it's your job to actually build and gain the trust of your fellow executives.